Welcome back to Photoshop CC 2020 Classroom Book Chapter 4 Quick Fixes. For this last one, we're going to go ahead and play with the perspective warp here on the train. So let's go ahead and go into our bridge. If we look at our before and after, we can see that our before, we've got kind of a train kind of flying off the train tracks, which we don't necessarily want. And here we want to change the perspective to make it match. So let's go into our bridge start, do a right click, open with, and Photoshop. Let's do a file, save as. Let's do a first initial, last name, underscore, Photoshop, classroom in a book, chapter number 5, and call it train. And I already have one of these, so, and a PSD and save. Yes, I want to replace mine. All right, so obviously, we want to make sure the perspective matches. Sometimes you've got issues where maybe you're trying to put a logo on something and it's not quite working, so you can use the perspective warp for that. Let's go ahead and select our train layer. And let's go to Edit and come down to Perspective Warp. First thing we need to do, you might get a little animation that shows up. If so, go ahead and watch it and close it. I'm going to go ahead and draw these quads. So my first quad, I need to have over the front of the train. So we're kind of establishing what is in perspective, what is the right, what is the right angle. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that down. Oh, I need to grab this corner first. Kind of establishing what is the crooked part, basically. I need to add a second quad. So let's go ahead and add a second one. That kind of lines up with the bottom of the cow catcher. Let's bring it down just a little bit more. And kind of the same angle as that light a little bit. So let's bring it up just a tiny bit. All right, next thing I need to do is hit warp. And when I hit warp, I need to go to the second one in near vertical lines. So it's going to kind of make it look a little bit wonky. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and drag the handles to manipulate those planes. So let's grab this one and move the train wheels on to the track a little bit better. And let's grab this top one, kind of move the whole train over. So it's pretty funky the way you can kind of play with this and change the way it looks and feels. Maybe move my back on the track just a little bit more. All right, so when you are happy with it, you can go ahead and put the check. And if you needed to, you could always go back in perspective warp and go in and say, okay, I really want to make this a little bit smaller. And you can always go back in after the fact, commit your changes, and do a Control S and save, and see how photo magically you can do that kind of quick fix. So that's how you work with the perspective warp in Photoshop. So I hope you've learned a few quick fixes. I hope to see you incorporate them into your publications and into your designs, and we'll see you in the next chapter.